rely on yung cellphones hindi talaga pwede pag mababara ka dyan, and time is of the essence, especially if it is a crisis, man-made or whatever. So yun ang ano ko, we work on that. Hindi naman mahal yan. During the 50s, ang tatay ko may isang linya lang sa opisina niya sa provincial government. Parang ganun. And I want you to work on that because that is one thing that we have failed to realize actually. The use of cell phones is becomes inutile at a certain level of
If I may, Mr. President, actually the ICT has ongoing project which is under procurement stage here. It is known as Government Emergency Communication System. Maybe the rep from the ICT can explain on that.
who's handling it.
Yes, ICT, sir.
The ICT, sir.
Okay.
The Government Emergency Communication System, or GEX.
We have
Sandali lang ha.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we have ordered the BOC, the Bureau of Customs, to release to the DSWD all of their seized food items, including rice, for the emergency purposes.
Casey, nasabihan mo na.
Yeah, sabihin.
Sid.
Oh, yeah. And that's really our practice. As soon as we seize it, we release it to the DSWD. So they will be getting not only the rice, but if we have seized any smuggled canned goods, we will give it to them.
John Sumato, you were raising your hand, sir. You want to say something?
Daw lahat ng mga kuryente dyan eh. So, ma-isolated brownout ang Ilocos ba. So, we have to be, if we have to be prepared for this. Yung ano naman, yung DNR, participation naman natin sa DNR dito is yung pag matatapol down yung mga kahoy, barado yung kalsada. So, we have alerted our mga DNR personnel along, kasi every province meron akong DNR personnel po eh. So, yung tutulong sila sa pagputol ng kahoy along yung mga natumba po sa kalsada. Kasi doon nangyari kasi doon sa noon, sa Yolanda, ay hindi makadaan yung mga sasakyan kasi hindi makadaan sa dahil sa naputol na mga kahoy. So we have some provisions for this. In-alert ko na po yung mga sa amin sa DNR. So yun lang po ang aking may
Actually, in a crisis, you have to reckon with the Murphy's Law. We have the estimates and we have the projections and the reckonings and all. But we would not, it ain't there until it is there. So, pagka ganon, anything can go wrong outside of the projection or sudden shift of that idiot, the typhoon crawling towards North Luzon. So, the best way to proposition, the most accurate way of finding out ano talaga ang nangyari is for Tugade, who comes from Cagayan, and Bello comes from Isabela, to go home there now and watch their own province. How is that?
President, I was talking to Secretary Tolentino. I said, I think the President should designate at least 6 cabinet members to be in these areas of possible calamity, Mr. President. Para may mukha kayo doon sa areas na yon. Your presence must be felt there, Mr. President, through your cabinet members.
Hindi na kailangan ko. So,
hindi lang kami, Mr. President.
In succession, ay total yung trabaho naman niyo really germane or very intimately connected with the wherewithals ng Typhoon. You could go there to your province. You will be at home there, Isabela. Art, you have never been to Cagayan ever since, matagal na. No, sigurado ang roads will be clogged as Mark and of course
Yes, sir. In fact, sir, nakaschedule na ako sa Tuesday next week.
Puta na. Tao mo sa Ilonggo nga.
Tapos na yun.
Hindi mo pa luma, oh.
Mr. President.
Ilonggo, prepared na, anak.
Dili sa karon, sir, kay basig mahagsag ang helicopter.
Then, maybe Roy and General Halad. General si Mato, General Halad. Mayroon ka naman dito. So long as pagkatapos ng bagyo, huwag naman pumunta ng bagyo. After, tapos you have to be there because I said there's so many things. Anything can go wrong, as it will go wrong. Not to our expectations, not within our projections, not included in our forecasts. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, Roy, 5, General Halad also busy.
Mr. President.
Oh, si, ano,
Sa education.
ay, ikaw ma'am, okay ka na. Wala ka na lang.
You know, last year I went to Isabela, to Cagigaraw, and to Cagayan. I also went to Catanduanes, wherever
Pero
there
taga
is.
Cebu yan si mama, tignan mo kung saan siya umabot.
Oo, lahat na, pati Surigao.
The love for
Surigao.
your fellow men.
Yes. Mr. President, the Department of Education is responsible for the most vulnerable of possible victims, and these are the learners. And we estimate that about 7 million learners will be affected. So we expect 7.7 million learners to be affected by this set of typhoons. So we are also preparing in terms of monitoring. Perhaps kasi kami up to the level of the school, we have the principals, the division superintendents. Lahat, we have initiated a tracking system. We are tracking all of them, and we have instructed them to stay put, especially during the weekend. So we are in constant touch with them. We have 3 personnel who are also on 24-hour duty here, so that whatever happens is immediately transmitted to the different schools. And kung we have buffer stocks sa ating ibang agencies in terms of food, ang aming buffer naman ay ang learning materials, ang mga books kasi nasisira yan, mga computers,
Yes,
etc.
that's what I'm worried about. And the use
Yes,
even of the school.
nagpa-preposition rin kami.
Totoo yung ano sa bata.
Mga books nila masisira. And we'd also like to reiterate our proposal, Mr. President, na perhaps we can minimize the use of the school buildings as evacuation centers because the children have to make do with temporary learning shelters, which all, of course, exposes them to greater risk. So we're glad na hindi masyadong marami ngayon na schools gagamitin. Minomonitor namin yan. And we also have already prepared, of course, the funds which might be necessary. Pero yung monitoring is very thorough and comprehensive because down to the level of the principal, we are in touch with all of them. We are tracking them. We're telling them to not to go off on holidays. Those abroad, they go home so that they keep watch over the respective constituencies. And these are the children which have to be kept safe and healthy, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am. I distinctly remember talking about the situation doon sa Naga. Tayo ni Tony Tolentino that it's about time that we build yung semento temporary shelters that can be used by the people during kasi ang ano ko diyan may misgiving ang mga bata napuputol po the longer they stay in the school, the longer would be the disturbance of the education of the children.
Also
It's
true,
about
Mr.
time
President.
that General Halad thinks of this. Yun talagang mga frontliners na lugar, Leyte, Samar, itong Cagayan, Isabela. Makagawa mo lang tayo parang gym, puro simento. Parang gym lang with so many, perhaps 10 CRs for women and 10, iwalay mo lang, babae, lalaki. parang simple lang na with strong, I think you have to use the metal. Iron. Parang gym lang. Habaan mo lang yung upuan para mag... And if we can build about siguro baski 14 muna next year, early next year, kung masali natin sa